Yes, hi, I'm Vermilion Bird. I'm a DJ producer. I also own a label, and I've been producing since 2011, 2012, and also DJing. I'm from Argentina, and so yes, I'm Latina, and I've been here for half my life, so I love it here. I go back once every 2 years or so, and I have a lot of family there. I have some family here too, and I've also lived in other parts of South America, so yeah, I have a lot of different influences. I, yeah, I try. I actually lived in Venezuela for half a year, and so I've been to Brazil. I've been to Europe many times, but most of my influences are like the Latin tropical and also electronic music. I grew up with electronic music and then Latin, and I listen to a lot of reggaeton here. So everything kind of combined together, and I do something that's called tropical bass. I do some urban, like reggaeton stuff, electronic mixed with Latin music and just global music in general. Well, Argentina, New York, and Margarita Island in Venezuela. Well, I came here because my dad was living here, so he brought me with him. And then I went to school, and my plan was to go back to Argentina, but then I was offered a job, and then another job, and then I just kept on staying, and I stayed. They were not. I started studying music, then I switched to psychology, and then I got employed in the field in psychology. Then I went back to music after a while, and I went to this institute that doesn't exist in New York anymore. It's called Dubspot. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Yeah. Dubspot in New York. And that was in 2011. And I finished in 2012. And then I started producing with Ableton Live. That's, what I use for production. Yes. Okay, so my label was born after I went to Europe in 2016. No, 2017. Yeah, that's when it was born. I went to Europe, and then I met a lot of people there, and I played a bunch of tropical bass parties, and then I came back and I thought, well, I have to do something with this. I knew a lot of producers and a lot of people that were making this music, and a lot of them weren't really finding any outlets for their music. Labels wanted festival music, they wanted music that sells, and they weren't necessarily interested in that kind of sound. And so that was why my label was born. But I also wanted to create events in New York because I live here, and I just wanted to to do the label and events be one thing, and just revolve around the sound and the community of people that like to play this music and dance to this music. It's it's kind of it's strange. The global bass, because that's the umbrella name for it, global bass. What I do is tropical bass, which is kind of a sub-genre of it. I find that is kind of it's the kind of music that lives mostly on the internet. It's all spread out. It's everywhere in the world, but it's so difficult to kind of to build like a community, like a large community of people in one place, that kind of, and that's why I created the label and the events, because it's hard to have a lot of people kind of doing this thing in one place. So that was part of my idea. I actually am throwing an event at the end of the month, and I think it's my dream event because we are bringing Unique from New Jersey. She's a Jersey club music producer and also vocalist, and she is great, and she's kind of pushing the sound forward. And even though Jersey club or club music is not necessarily global based, which is what what I do, but I feel like there are a lot of things in common. They are both kind of like emerging sounds and sounds that revolve around the community of producers that it wasn't necessarily part of the mainstream, and I think they intersect a lot. A lot of the Latin producers are making Jersey club in Spanish, and that's something that that is very interesting because a lot of Latin people don't understand English, so they can enjoy the music in their own language. It's been, I think that I am very lucky to be, in this generation that's actually seeing the change, because I feel that for, previous generations, it was so hard. I feel that, but they are the ones that started to push this, people like Bjork and like the pioneers of electronic music, women, they did a lot to kind of open the way for the rest of us to come. But it was very hard for them to get the recognition and the respect, I feel, the respect that they deserve. A lot of people didn't really, I guess they didn't really treat them like they were creators. For women, it's been kind of like an ongoing struggle to, to be the producer as opposed to, just the artist. And nothing wrong with being an artist, but, for women to be in technology, I feel that that is something new. It's not something that has been, hasn't happened for too long. This is something new. Women that are producers, engineers, I think that now is happening more and more, and I'm very happy about that. It happens, and it happens to all of us women doing this, but not just women. I feel that women kind of opened up the way for also like more gender fluid producers and artists and people that are in the scene. And I feel that that's also coming, together with women because, women started doing this, and then, it kind of opened up this whole world and the space. Women hold a lot of space for, I feel, for, a lot of like other communities that haven't been integrated into the mainstream. And I see it every day. And I think that, that's great because women are like, kind of like nurturing the whole way into it, for all these other communities that have always been excluded. Good question. I think that, it happens in so many different ways. Sometimes it's being a melody that's in my head, or I wake up with a melody in my head, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use this melody and create something out of it. Other times I just sit down and I think about what exactly I want to create and what's the sound that I want to go for, and it's kind of like maybe more, structured and kind of following a certain, if you want to make, let's say, house music, it has to be a house beat. It has to be the kind of, synthesizers that are used in house. The kind of, you know. So sometimes it happens like that. I don't make house, by the way. I make bass and global bass and urban. But yeah, sometimes it's spontaneous, and sometimes, you know, I just sit down and I'm like, okay, I have to make it sound more like this. So it depends on what I'm working on. Ooh, you know, to be honest with you, I am already collaborating with with a lot of artists that I admire, and they're not necessarily the biggest artists. But one artist that I actually would love to produce for is Spice. Do you know Spice? Okay. She is a dancehall singer and an artist, and so I would love to at some point produce. I actually had a song that was in the top 10 charts on Beatport this week in the dancehall charts. So I don't know. It's kind of like part of what I maybe would like for the future. Yes, Vermilion Bird, and vermilion-bird.com is my website. And also Vermilion Bird Official is my Facebook and SoundCloud. I am on Spotify as Vermilion Bird. So if you look it up, you'll find it. Hi, this is Vermilion Bird. Thanks for watching MoTV.